Thank you all for coming. I'm Walter Hang. I'm the president of Toxics Targeting. We're an environmental database firm in Ithaca, New York. And I'm here to send a clear message to Governor Cuomo that yesterday's tragic accident involving a compressed natural gas truck transferring this flammable and potentially explosive material, which killed the driver. That accident could have been prevented if he had only heeded Toxics Targeting's warnings more than 2 years ago. We implored him to adopt a moratorium on all fossil fuel infrastructure projects, including compressed natural gas truck transfer operations like the one that was proposed in Fenton, New York. He didn't listen to us, and in an uncanny coincidence, this tragic accident yesterday occurred within 2 miles of the actual proposed site of the NG Advantage compressed natural gas truck transfer facility. So the accident was just up here. And we're basically telling the governor, we warned you that this area had schools and they were closed yesterday because of evacuation that also displaced hundreds of people from their homes. It's a park, their places of worship. This is just the worst possible place for a compressed natural gas truck transfer operation. But the accident that occurred put those people at the same kinds of risks that we documented more than 2 years ago. So we used the Department of Environmental Conservation's own data to show that compressed gas tanker trucks had rolled over, caught on fire, burned, and the problems were never cleaned up to meet New York State standards. And according to the Department of Environmental Conservation's own data, soil and groundwater in this incident in Hoosick, New York, was never cleaned up to the applicable standards. Here's another propane gas accident. 3,000-gallon tanker truck is leaking, and streets were closed in the surrounding area and the homes were evacuated. And again, the problems were never cleaned up to the applicable standards. So we documented for Governor Cuomo that these problems had occurred. New York State had failed to prevent them or to clean them up. And that's how come this tragedy should have been avoided. And that's why we're now reiterating our request to Governor Cuomo that he immediately adopt a moratorium on all fossil fuel infrastructure project approvals in the state of New York, notably for these compressed natural gas truck transfer facilities. And so these facilities are being proposed all over downstate New York because we've been very successful at stopping interstate pipelines. And that's how come there's now a moratorium on natural gas hookups in Westchester County, Brooklyn, Queens, and parts of Long Island. But I testified to the Assembly, and we're sending the message to the governor as well. The way to solve the problem with inadequate natural gas is not to allow these compressed natural gas trucks to drive around our highways where they can cause accidents like the one that occurred yesterday. Instead, it's to reduce natural gas demand by insulating homes, by making them more weather resistant, by making them more energy efficient. And so we're telling the governor, you got about $5 billion in the Clean Energy Fund, and we believe that half of that money should be dedicated to the biggest home, business, school, place of worship insulation program in the country. And here's how it would work. The state of New York would pay half, the homeowner would pay half. And I believe through economies of scale, the cost of retrofitting a single-family residential home could be driven down to about $5,000 $2,500 provided from the $2 billion in the Clean Energy Fund. And this would allow individuals to pay off this debt through their utility bill savings. Their bill can't go up. This on-bill system would retire the debt in about 3 years. And after that, they can pocket about $800. So that would not only save consumers and homeowners money, but it would also potentially create jobs for a whole generation of craftspeople who could retrofit eventually all of the homes, businesses, schools, and other structures in the state of New York. The best example of this is on Upper Front Street in Binghamton, New York, where a dilapidated stretch of homes were completely retrofitted. They were made wind resistant through Tyvek. I'm sure they were insulated. And now not only is that area more inviting, it's very, very energy efficient. This is an example that could be rolled out all across New York State as a whole. So we're sending that message to the governor: adopt a moratorium on these compressed natural gas truck transfer facility approvals and all other fossil fuel approvals. If he wants to be a leader against climate change, he can't continue to allow these massive facilities to perpetuate New York's addiction to fossil fuels. And he should have prevented this accident yesterday by taking action when we requested it more than 3 years ago. We documented it, and New York State can't allow these trucks to enter our state until this entire practice is reviewed. Thank you very much for coming today. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Walter, wasn't this truck accident? John from Binghamton, I've talked to you before, John Solek, I'm not there. Wasn't this truck accident just a case of being unfortunate to getting deer? I mean, there's no way that this could be prevented regardless of what the truck was carrying.
Absolutely, this could have been prevented because this truck shouldn't have been in New York State. If there was no compressed natural gas facility in Herkimer County, that truck wouldn't be driving along the roadway where it crashed in the town of Fenton. So if the governor had heeded our warnings that these rollovers happen repeatedly, according to the state's own data, that accident wouldn't have happened. By the way, I would underscore that this accident could have been much worse because reportedly there was a natural gas release. So if there had been a spark, if there had been a down power line, you could have had a fire, you potentially could have had an explosion. So it could have been much worse, but this accident never should have happened.
Move a little closer if you don't mind, just so I can reach you.
Now, these weatherization programs, there's nothing really new about those things. Aren't some of these older homes buttoned up too tight with all the popcorn insulation? And isn't that a toxic problem? These homes were done in the 70s and 80s. Holes were drilled, insulation was blown in willy-nilly.
So the problem is that the vast majority of homes in New York are not properly insulated. Schools, businesses. I was just sitting recently in an airport in Tompkins County, no insulation whatsoever. So we have to make sure that all of the homes are properly insulated. This is a very straightforward method that craftspeople in every community know how to do. Anyone that goes to Home Depot or goes to Lowe's can see how you can rent the equipment. So I'm a big believer in blown cellulose insulation. This is where you chop up newspapers and magazines, and then you add a little bit of boric acid to make sure that it doesn't burn. So anytime you work on a home, you have to be careful. Things can always go wrong because you have electrical systems, you can have mold, but I have absolute confidence that literally tens of thousands of craftspeople could be trained and could be employed to retrofit ultimately all of the homes, all of the businesses, all of the schools, and all of the other structures in New York. It's just absolutely recognized even by the federal government, and moreover, this could solve a huge problem with disposal waste paper. That waste paper can be chopped up, converted into blown cellulose insulation. We used to send it all to China. Now it's a huge problem that's in danger of ending a lot of recycling programs because they have no way to get rid of this paper. So we can kill two birds with one stone, and I believe that the governor should do this, and we're going to be writing him to make that request.
Now, you're the tractor.
Can I deal with these other reporters? Okay, thank you.
In this situation, luckily the natural gas kind of just dissipated into the air, but you kind of touched on this already, but these situations can get a lot worse. Just talk a little bit about why they can get worse and how they have gotten worse.
So these compressed natural gas trucks have big containers of highly pressurized gas. So when you're driving along, that's one thing. But if you roll over, if you crash, if you hit a concrete abutment, that's another. And so reportedly, one of these containers did leak. So once the gas vaporizes, it's flammable. It's essentially the same gas that you use to cook food in your home or to run your boiler to heat your house. It's flammable. I mean, that's why we use this stuff. So we were very fortunate that there wasn't a spark with the truck skidding along the road or a down power line igniting what could have been a very serious fire.
And I don't need to make you reiterate, but speak a little bit about it, if you would, how this, again, could have been prevented. Like you said, crashes can't necessarily be prevented, but these trucks going into the state hospital.
Toxics targeting repeatedly documented that compressed gas truck accidents occurred all over the state. We documented that there were fires, we documented that homes had to be evacuated, and we did this with the state's own data. And so we implored Governor Cuomo, beginning in 2016, to adopt a moratorium on all fossil fuel infrastructure project approvals, including these compressed natural gas truck transfer facilities. If he had heeded our warning, then there wouldn't be a compressed natural gas facility in Herkimer County, which this truck reportedly was driving to. That truck wouldn't have been in New York State. We also told the governor beginning in 2017 that it just didn't make any sense to allow these potentially flammable and explosive trucks to drive around New York without any regulation whatsoever. So the governor clearly could have prevented this problem, and he didn't. And now we're saying adopt a moratorium on all fossil fuel infrastructure projects and these compressed natural gas truck transfer facility approvals without any further delay. Otherwise, he is going to have to be held accountable for any future problems that occur.
And how many, do you have numbers on how many trucks or people are affected by accidents that happen like this?
I mean, literally thousands of people have been evacuated through both pipeline explosions, compressor station explosions, and these compressed gas truck accidents. So it's very, very common. People can go to toxicstargeting.com. They can click on the Fenton compressed gas campaign summary, and we posted all those data. Again, this is using New York State's own information, and now the latest example of this is in the town of Fenton. So again, you just can't drive a truck or a car without having accidents. It's just sooner or later going to happen.